Hi, welcome to episode 11 of Chapel Hill Maker. I'm Rachel, and I love knitting and making here in beautiful Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I am so happy that you could join me today, and if you're new, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm looking forward to sharing all about what I'm working on with you today. I don't have any finished objects, but I'm going to do a deep dive on my current projects. If you would like to find me on other platforms, I am Chapel Hill Maker here on YouTube, as well as Instagram and Ravelry, and I would love it if you would give me a follow, and then we can continue the conversation over there. Today I am wearing the Moby Slipover by PetiteKnit, and I knit this a little, I think over a year ago, maybe even more, out of Sonder yarn Sunday morning DK. And I think the color is offline, but I'll put something up here if I am misremembering it. But this is a lovely sort of toothy, yet soft yarn. It has a little prickle factor, but since it's a vest, I'm not wearing it next to my skin. And it just shows the stitch definition beautifully. I loved making this project. I've thought about making others. If you are wanting to dip your toe in the pool of cable knits, I really recommend this. It looks way more complicated than it is. These are 1x1 cables or twisted stitches, and all of sort of the major cabling happens in the same row. So it's a little easier to keep track of. And I loved it. I loved making every single stitch of this. And believe it or not, the pattern is pretty memorizable. So after you get going, after you separate for sleeves, you don't even really have to look at it, which is awesome. So yeah, this is the Moby Slipover in Sonder Yarn Co. Sunday Morning DK, which I think is a Masham wool blend. I'm gonna get right into my works in progress today. I don't have any finished objects because I have been really locked in on these two. And I have learned a ton this week about patience and perseverance and humility from both of the projects that I'm working on. And I think as a knitter who's been at this for a really long time, it's part of what I love about knitting, and that I can still be humbled and learn something new out of a craft that I have dedicated a lot of time to over the years. So the two projects that I'm working on today are the Harvest Flower sweater and a test knit for Tori Yu, which is the Prospect tee. I'm going to start with the Prospect tee because this has been really smooth sailing, well, up until last night. But, you know, they always say you're only as happy as your least happy child. And up until yesterday, this has been my most happy child. And so it has been a delight to just pick up and knit a few rows on and watch it progress. Tori's patterns are notoriously clean and well thought out and very fun and easy to test. This is my progress so far. I think last time that I shared it with you, there you can see the texture in this, which I love, and I really can't wait to make the to do the collar on this because it always just makes it really feel like much more of a sweater. Yeah, last time I think I had just done like the trapezoid in the back, and then picked up, I think that's called like a European construction, and it's a really fun textured knit made up of just knits and purl. So she does have a pullover version of this in a DK weight yarn if you're interested in sort of jumping into texture. The yarn that I'm using for this is Wool Dreamers Sayana, and it is a wool cotton blend, and this is in the color green. It's Rowan, which is, my pronunciation is terrible, but green. So I really love this. It's soft. It has you know, a little bit of stickiness to it, but when you block it, it softens up. And I have a feeling because of the cotton in there that the more you wash it, the softer it's gonna get. I do have this in my thread and maple bag that was part of their fundraiser last year for breast cancer research. And my husband had bought me a page, had bought me the needle binder years ago, and now he is on their mailing list, which is awesome for them and for me, because when he sees something there that he thinks I'll like, he orders it, which is very nice and super fun because I love their products. I don't have a single one that I don't enjoy. So yeah, so this basically, you start with the trapezoid in the back, and then you pick up along the shoulders, and it's almost invisible the way she has you do it in the textured pattern. And then you work the front of the neckline with increases, and then you cast on a bunch right here and join the front so that then you can knit down until sleeve separation. And so where I sort of went wrong was I joined for the under the sleeves, and I kind of had a feeling it was too short when I joined, but I was kind of just on autopilot and went and knit, you know, not too far down, a couple rows. And then I tried it on and thought, oh yeah, this is gonna be a little too snug. So I just backed it out to above where you would join for sleeves, for the body rather. And I'm gonna add a few rows to the front and the back so that I can just give myself a little bit more room there in the underarms. So the fit across the chest is perfect. And I think it's gonna be really a fun spring wear. I've been loving, even this winter, pulling out some of my summer t-shirts and tank tops that I've knit and wearing them like under a blazer or under a cardigan. And so it's been fun to give them a little extra life. But okay, so now the bigger sort of focus that I've had this week, and it's funny, this is my second time filming this episode, which if you film for YouTube, I feel like is a rite of passage to end up having to film some episodes more than once. But I filmed this originally on Friday and wasn't happy with what I got. So I ended up putting it aside and just waiting until today to film it again. And I've made some good progress on this sweater, and she's not as much an unhappy child anymore, which is fantastic. So when I last left you, I was talking about how I just wasn't gonna catch floats because it was too tedious.
So what I decided when making this was that I'm not gonna worry too much about trapping floats every however many stitches. There are some pretty long, 10, 12 stitch floats. Overall, I'm just not worrying about it. I might regret that later, but I felt like I needed...
And I feel like I need to issue a public service announcement and tell you that you should catch your floats. And I ended up, let me show you what I have now, and then we'll jump into talking about it. I have separated for the sleeves underneath the yoke, and I did block this before I joined, so you can see the color all lays down really nicely now. It's integrated well. I am so happy with this. And just to remind you, I'm sort of, not more than sort of, I am identically following Stephanie from Edible Thoughts Makes, and I added in 5 steek stitches in the middle here, and when I'm done, I'm going to cut this open and turn it into a cardigan, which I am more and more happy with that decision, because it's with 3 layers of color up top, it's definitely pretty warm for my climate. But yeah, so I was talking to you last time about catching floats, and I knit really a few more rows after I filmed and realized that my tension just wasn't something I could live with. It was really, I don't know if I took a picture, but if I did, I'll put one up here. It was really puckered, and having those super long floats and then catching them on the next round just wasn't enough, and I felt like you could sort of see where I was catching them. So I ripped it back, tried it again with catching the floats where the pattern directed me to. And I still wasn't, the top of this sweater has been blocked 3 times because I still wasn't happy with the tension that I was getting. It was lumpy and bumpy, and where I was catching the floats, you could see it pucker in the work. And so I ripped it back again. And what I ended up doing was adding in, hopefully you could see this here, some ladderback jacquard. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a mesh that you're inserting behind your work. And I can link to the tutorial that I use, but you basically bring all of the yarn to the front, you increase by 1 stitch, and then you purl that stitch with the yarn in front, with all of your yarn in front, as you're going around to catch that in the back. And so let me see if I can show you this here. Like, you can see that it creates like a mesh that's not even really attached to the work. It's almost like a double knit. I'm doing a terrible job here of showing this to you right here. There you go. Now you can see it. It creates like a ladder in the back of your work. And so that way I was able to catch the work, catch the floats. And I ended up using it extremely liberally. Even if it was just for a couple of rows here, I can show you my ladders. It's not, it's not the most beautiful as it is like with with those stranded color work sometimes when you see the floats, but it was a game changer for me. It made it finally so that everything laid flat and I felt happy to proceed. And I'm not really a perfectionist, but I don't want to sit and put all of that time and energy in to something that I'm gonna then not like the final product. And a lot of times I will sort of go, oh yeah, it's good enough, and I'll keep going. And I decided for once to take my own advice that I give to my students a lot, which is, if you have something you're not happy with, fix it early, or else, you're going to if you notice it now, you're going to notice it later, basically is what I usually tell them. And so it's better to redo it sooner rather than later. And so, yeah, so I ended up catching these floats in the ladderback jacquard, and then in a couple spots I even did afterthought ladderbacks. I had some floats that were still pretty long even after doing all of that, and I just took a crochet hook and I added in a ladder, and that seemed to help with the long floats as well, and it didn't make any difference on the front. So yeah, so that was sort of my tale of woe for the first part of this sweater. And then, so I was very happy and relieved when I got to here. I got to do a few rows of 2 color only, which was blissful. And then I added in the green for the leaves. And I ended up, the original yarn that I shared with you, my friend Tori from Knitworthy Yarns, reminded me that it was Julie Aslin Journey worsted. And as soon as I did 2 or 3 rounds with it, it was very clear that it was just not the right yarn for this project. It was a lot denser than the other yarns that I had used. These are sort of a little loosely plied and DK weight. That was a worsted weight, very tightly plied. And so when I started knitting with it, it just stood really proud on the work. I knew I wasn't going to be happy with that either. So I went back again, and I ended up picking up this yarn from our local yarn store. It's Sandnesgarn Alpaca Wool in the color Rainforest. Hopefully you can see it. The sun is not my friend today. And this was perfect. It just sits in so nicely with the color work, and you can see right here. So I joined for under the sleeves last night on the body. Just dropped a stitch, and now it's kind of smooth sailing for a while. I tried it on. I'm really happy with the fit. I did end up, my gauge tends to get looser in colorwork, especially this 3-color colorwork for some reason. Most people get tighter. Maybe I overcompensate. I'm not really sure, but mine gets a good bit looser. And so I did end up dropping down to the size 1, but I think I'm gonna still get the same measurements as the size 2, which is the 40-inch, which is what I was hoping for a generous, comfortable cardigan. But the more I thought about it, I know I'm going to be cutting it open and adding a button band, so I didn't want it to be too oversized. So I ended up, fortunately, the chart after you finish the whole colorwork chart, size 1 and 2 had the same stitch count, and you do some increases before joining in the round, or before separating the sleeves. And so I just ended up doing the increases for size 1 and proceeding. So hopefully I won't have to go back again, because apparently my decision tree on this has been somewhat off, which, like I said, it's super humbling. But I can tell you that in the end, once this is done, even already, I'm not sitting there thinking about how terrible it was. And it wasn't terrible. It was just humbling, honestly. Had nothing to do with the pattern. The pattern is beautifully written. It had everything to do with sort of what I needed to work on. I think I learned a couple really valuable lessons. One is probably don't work on a 3-color colorwork yoke under stressful circumstances. My daughter had a minor surgery while I was sort of up in this portion, and I sat in the waiting room working on it. And then as soon as we got home, I looked at it and thought, yeah, that's not going to work. So that was sort of one of the times that I ripped back. And then the other time was just kind of trust your gut. Listen to, if you have those alarm bells in your head going off saying like, this isn't right, or you're not going to be happy with this, believe yourself, because this is not a small undertaking of a project for me. And some people may sail through it and not even have to give it any thought. But for me, doing the 3 colors with the long floats definitely had my gears turning. And so I'm so happy that I listened to that inner alarm bell saying, go back, go back. And now I'm really pleased with what I'm getting here. So yeah, so is it perfect? No, but is it something I'm really excited about to wear? Yeah, it really is. I'm thrilled. So yeah, so this is the Harvest Flower, I don't think I said this, Harvest Flower sweater. And Jessie Maed, this is Jessie Maed Designs. She had a birthday sale going on, and I think it might still be. It's 45% off. So if you are considering making this after hearing my trials and tribulations, I still recommend it. I think if I had cast this on and started with the ladderback jacquard and kept going and had the right yarn from the beginning, it would have been smooth sailing, and I would have been really smug. And instead, I'm sitting here humbled about it, but really happy. So yeah, so maybe next time I'll have the body done. We'll see. I'm gonna give the prospect tee a lot more attention right now, since it does have a deadline, and I like to obviously honor my tests that I sign up for and get them done in time. So far, I don't think I've ever not done that on a test knit, and that's a source of pride for me, because I don't like to commit to something that I can't see through. Yeah, and so just to recap, the yarn that I am using in the Harvest Flower, the main color is the Yak by Ula+Lia, and it is magic the way it blocks, the difference. I don't know if you can even see it here, but I haven't blocked the body, and you can see the stitches are much more sort of individual stitches, and when it's blocked, it all sort of melts in, and it's really soft. It's so soft. The red is a pure, I think it's called Pure Cashmere by Rowan, and the color is College Red. I think they've discontinued it, and to be honest, I'd have a hard time kind of recommending it because there were so many places where the plies were split or even the whole yarn was split that it added to my frustration. But the pink is the color Adelaide by Julie Aslin, and the yarn is Lizu Fingering, and I'm holding it double. And then the last one is that Alpaca Wool by Sandnes Garn. So yeah, so that is all that I have been working on, and it has taken 110% of my attention, which has been kind of fun, but also now I have to sort of plug back into my life that I have been ignoring. But on to my next work in progress, that is spinning. And I showed you last time this rambly yarn that I got from Promised Land Fibers, and they are out, I think, in Washington State. And it is rambly, which I think I had said is sort of like a golden doodle of sheep. It is a cross of Wensleydale, Merino, Tarhi, and Corriedale. And it really does take all of the best qualities from each of those. It's super soft and really fun to spin. I sometimes find the really, really soft yarns challenging. It has a staple length of 4 to 6 inches, and it's really springy. And so I'm planning to make this into a 3-ply. So I am spinning it really, really thin. You can see here, if you can see here, you can't even see it, which is a good indication of how fine I am spinning it. But it's taken me a little while, but I am really having fun with it. And maybe next time I'll have my finished 3-ply to show you. Maybe not, trying not to keep too much pressure on myself to get things done that I don't, obviously there's no deadline for it, but I'm having fun sort of dream knitting with it. I look forward to seeing how much yardage I get and coming up with a project. And then my acquisitions, my Yarny treasures for the week is only one, but one I'm really excited about. I can't wait to work with it. And my third daughter was recently committed to go to UNC Chapel Hill for next year for college, so she will be a freshman, class of 2030. And as a gift, I ordered some dyed-to-order sock yarn in UNC Chapel Hill's colors. And this is from Artistic Yarn by Abby. And you basically go on her site and you can say, custom team colors. And I gave her zero instruction. I just said, Tar Heel, some self-striping Tar Heel yarn, and it came with this adorable basketball stitch marker, beautifully packaged, and came pretty quick. I think it was just a couple weeks from when I ordered it to when it arrived. And so we're super excited for our daughter, and I'm really excited to give this to her as a gift. My second daughter is at Virginia Tech, and I did that for her when she left for college, and really enjoyed sort of gifting her that little handmade memory to have with her while she was away from home. So that's my only acquisition for this week. If you have a team that you want to rep, I strongly recommend Artistic Yarn by Abby. And she's got a bunch of really cute colors, that she's already made, pre-done colorways that looks really fun too. So I think I'll be checking out more of hers. And it's a 75, I think it's a 75-25 base. Now I'm blanking, but it's pretty soft too, and really soft. So I think it's gonna make a really cozy pair of socks. Okay, next I have my active news cycle avoidance, which I have been really pretty good at. I've been curbing my time on Instagram. I don't know, for people that I chat with on there, you may notice I'm on there a little bit less, but it's forced me to kind of make really good use of the time that I have when I'm on there. Not just mindlessly scrolling. I'm sorting my feed by people that I follow and checking, just checking my messages on there and checking in with some of my favorite content creators. The app that I'm using for it is called Screen Zen, and I have it set up so that I can only go on there 5 minutes at a time, and then I have to wait at least 10 minutes before I go on again. And after using it for about 2 weeks, I noticed that I don't even go to click on it quite as much. And when I do, I go on there with a purpose. I'm not just sort of mindlessly looking at, doomsday scrolling, which is fantastic. We have been watching so much of the Olympics. We've been loving the hockey, in particular, the US women's hockey has been really fun to watch. I think now that we're into the quarterfinals, the men's hockey is going to get a little more exciting because they're ending up with teams that have more NHL firepower, and so they're really, I think the games will be more evenly matched. But overall, it's been really fun to watch, and we kind of are constantly giggling at how we're able to, after watching one race, we're able to commentate on these athletes and what they're doing without really any actual knowledge of the sport. I have loved, there are at least 3 knitting Olympians, which I have enjoyed following. I can link their channels as well. One's from Canada, 2 are from the United States, and that is super fun to just see what they're knitting while they're at the games. And so the Olympics, that has been, we don't usually turn the TV on a whole lot, but that has been on constantly in this house. So that has been awesome news cycle avoidance. Lastly, I've enjoyed sharing podcasts with you. In particular, I like sharing ones that are smaller channels. As a small channel myself, I have benefited so much from people sharing my channel, and it's been a really good way for you guys, many of you, to find me. So this one, the algorithm just kind of knocked out of the park for me. I was in a mood and needed to giggle, and the podcast is called Knit by Nick, and Nick is a creator in Berlin, and his videos are just really, they're funny, they're self-deprecating. It is so different than any podcast I've seen. He did one recently on the actor Josh O'Connor, he plays the young priest in the new Knives Out movie. But he chronicles all of his knitwear that he's worn over the years and gives his opinion and where they're from, and he does a little research, and he's really funny, and his editing is great, which I always admire because editing to me is stressful and challenging. And his most recent video was a knitting confessions video where he talks about some of his personal knitting confessions, and he comes in with a disguise and everything. And so yeah, go check out Knit by Nick and tell me what you think about him. I think he was really funny. He definitely caught me in a mood, and I was giggling the whole time. So yeah, so I think that brings me to the end of what I have for today. I was definitely more efficient in my second recording, but I am always so grateful that you took the time to spend with me. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, all of the wonderful ings. And I look forward to visiting with you guys every time, and think about how excited I am to share what I've learned and what I've worked on. And I'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.